Our next speaker is Taylor Haynes. Taylor is a man who believes that it's character and not color that makes a difference when it comes to achieving goals and contributing to the community. Born in 1946, raised by his parents, Taylor and Lori Haynes, on a produce farm in Louisiana, along with 3 sisters and 1 brother. He learned that hard work, honesty, and self-discipline were the keys to achieving whatever goals he set his mind on, and he obviously set his mind on a few of them. He put himself through college and postgraduate studies by working as a laborer at a freight dock and as a stevedore. You're going to have to tell us what a stevedore is. I don't know. Longshoreman. Yeah, I should have known that. He married and raised a family of 4 children. After graduating from mechanical engineering with a mechanical engineering degree in Southern University in 1969, he accepted an engineering job in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Kennecott Copper Corporation Research Center. But he was easily bored and seeking for greater autonomy in his career. He left the engineering position and began medical school at the University of Utah, while also supporting his young family. And after completing his surgical residency in urology, he moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to open his medical practice. He ran a very successful urology practice and became highly respected with his patients and other physicians in the community. Published a number of papers in major surgical journals and so on. He's a certified trauma surgeon, and although retired, he's still an instructor in advanced trauma life support training for doctors. But after living in Cheyenne a few years and getting bored again, he decided he needed to return to his roots in agriculture, so he purchased a ranch and started up a cow-calf operation. And subsequent to his first wife's death in 1998, he married Elizabeth Wasson in 2002, and she joined him in his ranch. The ranch is certified organic, and the cattle are all natural, grass-fed, a man after my own heart. He has single-handedly grown the ranch to be a significant producer selling organic beef all along the front range of Wyoming, Colorado. And there are too many things to read because I'm going to be taking up his time, but became prominent in a number of cattlemen organizations and still is in Wyoming. A man of many interests, many talents, and great work. Let's welcome Dr. Taylor Haynes.
Because that's what they do in Wyoming. But I'll have to tell you why cowboys wear their hats inside. A hat rack where you can watch your hat has gone out of venue furnishings over the years. So cowboys used to take their hats off at restaurants and all venues. But sometimes some people would leave with a better hat than they brought. So rather than go through that, we just wear our hats. Thank you, Jim, for that introduction. But I want to thank you people for being who you are. You people are what the Founding Fathers intended us to be. You think for yourself, you know who your Creator is, and you worship Him openly and publicly. And you credit Him with your accomplishments. All of those things that Jim recounted, those aren't my accomplishments. Those are my blessings. Those are my trainings for the Master's purposes. And He doesn't always tell me what I'm going to do next. And He almost never, and in fact never has, told me why. But He writes it on your heart in such a way that you don't have peace unless you act in the way that you're being urged. So it's really by the grace of God that I've had success. It's by the grace of God that I was born in this country with the opportunity to find out how much I can do, how good I can be, with God's help and for His purpose. When I was invited here, it was very humbling because people invite you to speak at their organization, which is close to their heart, which is the result of many years of their labor. Their name, their stamp, and their reputation is on that. So I'm very honored and humbled to be here. What I want to talk about picks up on what Sheriff Mack talked about last night. I met Sheriff Mack for the first time during my campaign when we both happened to be scheduled at the same venue. We get there both in a rush 5 minutes beforehand, and how do we do this? Who wants to go first? And so I told him a little bit about how I work. My town hall speeches were a very short stump speech outlining my qualifications to run the state as an administrator and businessman, and then the reasons I ran as a constitutionally based conservative and a strong Judeo-Christian. And then he told me about his presentation, and obviously I knew who he was, and so I went first and cut time short so we wouldn't make the evening too long. And then when he gave presentation, very much like last night, the audience thought we had previously arranged this, rehearsed it, and practiced it, and we'd never met. And what that demonstrates, if you're strictly on the Constitution, if you're strictly about our Judeo-Christian principles, you don't have to meet beforehand. The truths are the truths. And so, and that's why we worked so well. I got into the gubernatorial race in Wyoming. I entered the race. My first outing was the Constitution Party convention. I entered the race because there was another candidate who was a Republican who had the same platform, Constitution, Judeo-Christian principles. And they successfully smeared him. I called it tackled. But they were offside. They were in his huddle, and they just nailed him to the wall with nothing. And one morning I come out of the bedroom, headed out to check on the cattle, and my wife had that little chuckle. She says, you're going to have to run. What are you talking about? She says, they finally got Michael I. What do you mean they got him? Did he rob a liquor store? No. He was a minister in the LDS faith. He was called a bishop at one point as they progressed through their faith, and he had a young man in his Sunday school class in their neighborhood, ranching neighborhood, who was a good kid when he was in that class as an adolescent. Later in life, this kid raped somebody. His defense attorney asked if there were any character references ever in his life. Not should he be let go, not did what he do was right or wrong. Is there one single bit of evidence that this has ever been a good boy? So Mr. Michael I wrote a letter saying, well, during this time from 12 to 16 years of age when he was in our church in our Sunday school class, he was a pretty good kid. That's really what the letter said. This letter was in a sealed court document. Sealed court document. Winds up on the front page of our statewide newspaper. But what about this letter then should drag this man down? He taught Sunday school. By God, he taught Sunday school. Let's get him. He's got to be dangerous. They had been trying to smear him all along, and finally that got him. So now it's May. And I told her that will blow over because there's nothing in my country boy mind that's damaging there. He didn't say anything that I disagreed with because it was strictly the facts about a certain period in this young man's life. She said, no, it won't, because they won't let it die. And they kept twisting that and turning that and writing articles about that letter until it was clear he wasn't going to win the primary, and he was leading. So now it's July. What are you going to do, Haynes? Well, the pressure on me from the Lord came in this way. I was sleeping well nights, but all day long, there is something going on the national scene, whether it's Obama, Reid, and Pelosi, or whether it's our rhino representation within the state that was trashing the Constitution, trashing our principles. And everywhere I go, I'm seeing that, or I'm hearing it on the radio, I'm hearing it in the tractor, or somebody's telling me over the fence. Well, all right, so I entered the race and I had peace. But now it's just about the 1st of August. So I hit the ground. I went to the Constitution Party convention, and they had a committee that really takes you in the room. And this isn't a check the box kind of thing. This is a conversation about who you are, what your life has been, what your beliefs are, what you stand for in your private life and publicly. And it was a very well done, honest kind of thing. And obviously, it was me going home to the choir. So they endorsed me. But by endorsing me as a Constitution Party candidate, told certain other groups who had splintered, Tea Party group that had splintered quite a bit in Wyoming, this is a true conservative. The Tea Partiers came to the campaign. The 912ers came to the campaign. A group called Wyoming Patriot Alliance, which had split from the Tea Partiers, came to the campaign. And it's not about Taylor Haynes. You got to understand, this talk isn't about me. It's about the principles, the Constitution, and our Judeo-Christian principles. And I'd say to the media, well, my platform basically is the Constitution and the Ten Commandments. And the first line in my brochure that I wrote, the first thing I'll do as governor very easily is restore prayer in schools. And I did that for two reasons. One, I could do it because of the statutes and the Constitution. And two, it's easy to do. Well, how do you do it? You simply declare in your state of the state. There are a few things we need to get straight. We have First Amendment rights, freedom of speech in this country and in this state of Wyoming. Therefore, anybody can pray anywhere, anytime, aloud or quietly, if they choose to. And anybody interfering with that will be prosecuted by this governor. Done. So the brochure goes like that down through the Constitution and down through the state statutes. Now, I'm a business person. I am not fabulously wealthy. I'm not poor. But I work for what I got, and I need to take care of it. The winning governor had already spent over $1 million in the primary to this point. There was a picture of him everywhere you turn, probably in a lot of men's rooms, too, that I didn't go in. At any rate, you're at a disadvantage. Statewide, we only have 23 counties, but we have 97,000 square miles. Statewide, conservative people went on the website, went on YouTube, looked at my presentations, read the brochure, organized committees for me in their counties before they met the person, based on the Constitution and the principles. They, then, the Tea Partiers, and all of these groups sent leaders to Casper, which is kind of our central location in the state. They organized my campaign. Not one paid staff, not one official fundraiser, not one. So now I'm on the road in an 05 Dodge pickup, having town hall meetings and going to county fairs. People would come to the town hall meetings and cancel my reservation at the local motel and take me into their homes after the town hall meeting. That's the Holy Spirit, because they don't know Taylor Haynes. Am I some kind of crackpot that you're taking into your home overnight, or is this a person that the Lord says you can trust? Well, it has to be the Lord, because it can't be the man. It has to be. So they bought their own yard signs, billboards, radio ads. I'm running down the highway, my cell phone goes off, pull over, we need your voice on this radio ad. I'm Taylor Haynes and I approve this message. So I don't really know what my campaign cost. Some people sent donations in, but I bet altogether that we could tally we didn't spend $20,000. And we had the Republicans, because Wyoming's technically a Republican state, over 3-1. We had the mainstream parties so worried that they began to make threats. And so they made threats to people in my campaign who have tremendous experience in law enforcement and security. And we had a meeting and said, those aren't credible threats. We don't want that in the media. Don't worry about that at all. And I was never worried. It is to distract us. They want me to stop talking about the Constitution and the Lord and start whining about these threats. Ignore those. Don't let anybody drag you into any kind of conversation about race. I don't care what they say. I don't care how flowery it is. You come back with what might seem an unrelated point, but you come back with a point from your heart about why you're supporting me. Some constitutional point, some Judeo-Christian point. Don't you mention race. Don't let them get you into that. Don't you mention it, because they need to do whatever they can to distract you. I'm not running to be the first black governor of Wyoming. I've got more qualifications on paper than anybody that's ever been governor. So I'm running to be the best governor Wyoming ever had. Let's work on that. this campaign, you know, at times in your life you feel the Holy Spirit, His hand on you. The whole time I did. I've had days where I drove by myself 450 miles, gave a town hall, and my town halls are 5 minutes of who I am, and then 3.5 hours or so of answering questions until there are no more questions. And the way you answer those questions about what you're going to do is, first of all, you quote the Constitution. Here's what the Constitution says in that area. If this bill coming from the legislature does not fit that, then I'm probably going to veto it. If in state government your job does not fit the purpose of government as outlined by the founding fathers, then we are going to work to phase that job out. I'm not hard-hearted or stupid, so I can't cut you off today as much as I'd like to. But I'm going to make it clear that you need to take your education, training, and talent and find possibly another job within the state that fits the purpose of government. But you better find something else to do, because I'm going to work on getting rid of that over my first 4 years. What about a second term? I'm not interested in a second term. I'm interested in doing everything I can do the first term. A second term will take care of itself if that's needed. So I was amazed at the resonance in 3 months that that message had, that people would turn out in town hall meetings, first maybe 50, then 200 or 300, and then I had to go back to certain communities, and it was the message. And they all came with questions about our state government, the Constitution, or what am I going to do about the feds? Wyoming has 52% of its land managed by federal land managers. They think they own it. They do not own it. They do not own it. So I would simply, as Chief Executive Officer of the state of Wyoming, cancel the federal land management contracts. That's all you do. Okay, second to that, then, we control all of our mineral wealth. Okay, now, I'm not going to create a welfare state in Wyoming, but I am going to, not welfare. Now, I have people that are trapped in that system on Social Security, on pensions, and I have people trapped in welfare. Let me tell you what, my 15 years in Utah showed me, the Mormons call it a welfare system, and I disagree with them on that. It's a self-help, personal development, self-improvement, upwardly mobile system. Let me tell you how the LDS welfare system works. You lose your job, you're destitute, you don't have food, clothing, you can't pay your rent. They're going to help you with all of that, and you're going to work for it. Now, you have certain skills, and they will put you in a place where your skills fit first. But they will also allow you to go to another place. I'll very quickly tell you about just 2 parts of this. They have a place they call Welfare Square, and it's a food processing cannery factory. You can go into Welfare Square with no skills, and so you start out sweeping the floor. If you apply yourself there, and you will if you're going to collect your sustainables, if you apply yourself there, you can leave there being a production line, manufacturing line mechanic, master mechanic, so that you could go anywhere there's manufacturing and production lines and have a high-paying, productive job. That doesn't sound like a welfare program to me. That sounds like what we ought to have. Now, they have secondhand clothing called Deseret Industries. You can go into Deseret Industries, start out sweeping the floor, washing clothes, learning how to run a dry cleaner, but you can also come out, because of mending and so forth, as a tailor. Well, now, is that welfare or is that self-help, upwardly mobile development? We were going to try something like that in Wyoming, and if it happens I'm ever in the chair, we're going to do that. We're going to go, you're going to work for what we give you. We're not going to give you money. We're not going to have you lie around. We're going to make you improve yourself, or you're going to be totally on your own. If you do that, people using their native intelligence and creativity simply to game the system certainly start to use that to make themselves better. And now they're creating their own wealth. They're starting to contribute their genius, their creativity to society. They're starting to be productive citizens, and their whole self-image changes. Your society improves because you've shown and insisted and helped and encouraged and cajoled these people into improving themselves. We can do that in Wyoming. Taking our federal mineral wealth, we can run our states. The first thing I promised, and the one thing, you should never say what you're going to give, but what I was going to do is phase out property taxes. You don't need property taxes. We're a wealthy state. The wealth belongs to the people of the state. We should be able to budget and run our city, county, local, and state governments based on this tremendous mineral wealth, not based on taxing people. So that's a whole bureaucracy that was shaking in its boots. But, you know, it's wrong, it's unconstitutional, and it's unsustainable, so we needed to change that. Education. Goodbye, No Child Left Behind. Goodbye. Take your federal education dollars. Well, they'll send them to the state anyway. You know, if you want to give Taylor Haynes $100, he's going to take it. But if you think you're going to tell me how to spend it or how to run my life, you just wasted your $100. And pretty soon you catch on. See what I mean? No shots fired. Yeah, you want to put money in Wyoming? Go ahead. We're going to give every child a voucher. Every family will decide how to educate their child. Now, if you want to put that money into the present school system, that's your right. But if you as a group of parents, and a lot of my homeschoolers, and I love our homeschool kids, I am just amazed at how well they do. We'll band together for certain types of teachers, especially advanced mathematics and science and foreign language. Okay, that's a school. Okay, they take their voucher and they do that. Other people will drink their money up and their kids don't get educated. And other people will do something in between. Well, you know what? That's happening now. There are kids sitting in classes, not only they're not being educated, they're holding back the bright kids who are trying because the teacher has to leave no child behind, so I got to make the rest of you stupid. I cannot let you guys work ahead like in small schools I went to. When we were working ahead, the nuns just says, okay, to keep you knotheads out of trouble, go to the next session. And she just let us work ahead while she worked with kids that needed more help. Somehow they can't do that anymore. They can't read ahead. Well, rather than fight the teachers union, rather than get into the politics and the district administrations, rather than deal with local school boards, that's the local people's issue. Here's the money to the parents. Let's you guys work it out. The state's out of this. So my campaign was about what we believe, strictly the Constitution. I wrote my little brochure myself because the Constitution's simple. It's written in English. And so far. And the Ten Commandments and your upbringing. The reason you have to write your brochure yourself is somebody challenges that anything in there and asks a question. The person who's asking to be their governor should be able to answer that question honestly. And so it was an easy campaign to run. The fact that in 3 months we got about 7.5% of the vote, with no television money and really no big money behind us, so that we didn't really get our name out, but we certainly got the message out because my phone's still ringing, my email's jammed. People now are asking me, what do we do about these problems in our county? And I'm working with individuals in their county to teach them how to constitutionally work with their commissioners and their sheriffs. As governor, the first thing I do is bring my sheriffs, the elected sheriff in each county, not a representative. The president, at least, of each county commission, some counties in some states call them board of supervisors, but the elected people that make ordinances in the counties to Cheyenne for a constitutional course like Sheriff Mack's talking about. 2 reasons. 1, they need to know what the oath they took means. Now, once we know what the oath we took, including this governor, means, if you violate that oath in Wyoming, that's perjury. If you commit perjury, this governor will prosecute you. So the sheriffs will stand up and defend their citizens, and the county commissions will defend their citizens or face prosecution. But this governor will also uphold the Constitution. So that's how I plan to do that. It's easy. Well, thank you again, and God bless you, and God bless America.